Good morning. This is English 7 for Thursday, and I hope you have your book right there in front of you because today we're going to talk about distinguishing between an adjective and an adverb. Now, we have to think back for a couple of lessons, remembering an adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. It cannot describe anything else. It has to describe a noun or a pronoun. Also, the questions. There are 5 questions that an adjective describes. And those questions are: which one? What kind? How much? How many? Whose? These 5 questions will always be the questions that an adjective answers. And again, what does an adjective describe? A noun or a pronoun. That means it's going to describe a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, or the word that takes the place of it, such as he, she, it, they. Okay? Now, an adverb will never describe a person, place, thing, or idea. An adverb will always describe the verb, the action, or it might describe an adjective or another adverb. Now, when it describes an adjective or another adverb, it's changing its intensity. It's going from being pretty to being very pretty, or being slippery to being extremely slippery. Okay? An adverb will always describe what? A verb, an adjective, or another adverb. What are the 5 questions of an adverb? They are where, when, how often, or to what extent. Every adverb must answer one of these questions. We'll learn later that there are 2 more, but for now, we're going to stick to these. For what you're doing, every adverb will answer one of these questions. Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or another adverb, and they tell us where, when, how often, or to what extent. Now, I want us to look at our book. I'm on page 169 in your book. There are 2 words that are commonly confused. Those are the words good and well. Good is an adjective. Now, because it's an adjective, I already know it has to describe a noun or a pronoun, which means it must answer one of these questions. Which one? What kind? How much? How many? Or whose? It has to. It can't describe anything else because it's an adjective. Good is always an adjective. The word well is always an adverb. It's always going to tell me where, when, how often, or to what extent. Normally, the word well is going to tell us how. How did he jump? Well. How did he score? He scored well. Okay? Now, the word well is always an adverb. The word good is always an adjective. There's only one exception, and that is we use the word well when we're talking about someone's health. Okay? If we're talking about someone's health, how they feel, okay, then we're going to use the word well. And so in that case, it is an adjective. That's the only time. So remember, good is an adjective, well is an adverb. Look at your sentences in exercise A. First, I want you to cross out where it says cross out. Write the word circle. Then, I want you to cross out the IN in incorrect. And it needs to say, so it says circle the each correct form in parentheses. Look at number 1. My cousin had the flu last week, and he still doesn't seem well or good. We're talking about a person's health, so we're going to use the word well. Look at number 2. The baby lay in the carriage very contented or contentedly. Well, what are we talking about? What's contented? I don't mean the what. What word is it tell me? Does it tell me which one, what kind, how much, how many, or whose? No. Does it tell me where, when, how often, or to what extent? Contentedly tells me how it was laid. It was laying contently. Excuse me, laying contently. So contentedly is an adverb describing how the baby was laying. Look at number 3. The odor of burning sulfur smells really or real or really bad or badly. Well, the odor of the burning sulfur smells how? Okay? To what extent? How does it smell? It's going to smell bad or badly, right? Now, so what does bad or badly tell us about? It's describing the smell. The smell is a noun. It's a thing. Now, I know it's not a thing we can touch. It's like the wind, but it is a thing, okay? So, the odor of the sulfur smells bad. Now, to what extent does it smell bad? It smells really bad, because really tells us to what extent. So I have to choose the adverb. Remember, adjectives describe nouns, adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Look at number 4. Roberto, you sure or surely wouldn't hit your little sister, would you? Okay, what is sure or surely describing? The hitting, right? Surely he's not going to hit his little sister. That's a verb. So we have to describe the verb with an adverb, surely. I need a new coat very bad or badly. Okay? What is bad or badly describing? It's describing need. I need what? I need a coat. How do I need it? I need it badly. So since it's describing need, it's an adverb because the word need is a verb in our sentence. Look at number 6. The pianist played I Surrender All very soft or softly during the invitation. I Surrendered All is our song that we're talking about here. But how did she play that song? How? Oh, wait, how tells me it's an adverb, so I need to use the word softly. Okay, look at the next one. The pastor's delivery is good or well. Now, delivery is talking about his sermon, okay? So our pastor's sermon is good or well. It's a thing, right? It's what he tells us. It's what he teaches us. So it is a noun, so we use the word good. Jeff sure or surely would love to have ice cream cake for his birthday party. Jeff sure or surely would love. It's talking about the verb. To what extent would he love this? He surely would love this, okay? Look at number 9. Sophia, that book looks real or really interesting, said Mrs. Thomas. Okay, that book looks what? It looks interesting. How interesting? Really interesting. Interesting describes the book. It's an adjective. But really tells me to what extent is it interesting, so it's an adverb. Look at number 10. This lemonade tastes too bitter or too bitterly. Okay, what is this lemonade tastes too bitter? It tastes too bitter because we're describing what? We're describing the lemonade. Okay, Jackson did good or Jackson did well on his trumpet solo. We're talking about how he played it, right? Since we're talking about how, it's an adverb. So we're going to choose the word well. Look on page 170. Now we already know that prepositional phrases begin with a preposition and end with an object. And it includes all the modifiers in between the preposition and the object. Every prepositional phrase will either act as an adjective describing a noun, or it will act as a unit. The whole thing will describe a verb, adjective, or another adverb acting as an adverb. Now, because we're in junior high, we like to sound a little more intelligent than grade schoolers. We don't just say, it's a prepositional phrase. No, we're going to say that's an adjective phrase. Yes, it is a prepositional phrase, but its job is to be an adjective. Or that's an adverb phrase. Yes, it is a prepositional phrase, but its job is to be an adverb. Okay, if I say, we have a table in the back of our room. If I say the blue coat on the table is a prepositional phrase. On the table describes which coat. So on the table is a prepositional phrase, yes, but we're going to call it an adjective phrase because that prepositional phrase is acting like an adjective describing which coat. Okay, now let's look at number 1, our blue box. A prepositional phrase, again, reminding us, is a preposition, the noun and the pronoun or its object, and any of the modifiers in between. Look at the second blue box. A prepositional phrase that modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb is called an adverb phrase. An adverb phrase usually will answer the questions where, when, how, or why. There's that extra word that I said that we were going to get. So I'm going to take my chalk and I'm going to go ahead and add it to our list. Okay, so now we have 6 things that an adverb is going to answer. It's going to tell us where, when, how often, to what extent, or why. Now the why we're going to reserve though for adverb phrases. Okay, let's look in our exercise. Okay. Remember that adverb phrases usually will modify the verb. Not always, but more than likely, it's going to modify the verb. Number 1, a diligent man will not sleep late in the mornings. Okay, what prepositional phrases do you see in the sentence? In the morning. What does in the morning describe? It describes how late. So I want you to circle the prepositional phrase, in the morning, and very neatly draw an arrow from in the morning to the word late, because it describes the word late. How late? In the morning. Number 2, the skies are magnificent in the evenings. What's your prepositional phrase? In the evenings. Now this prepositional phrase describes what? It tells us to what extent are they magnificent? Or when are they magnificent? Where are they magnificent, okay? Where, when, how often, or to what extent, or why. It's going to tell us when are the skies magnificent. In the evenings. Since it tells me when they're magnificent, in the evening describes magnificent. Again, circle your prepositional phrase, draw an arrow to the word magnificent, because that's the word it describes. Look at by the way, the word magnificent, if you look at it, skies is our subject, are is the verb, magnificent is, I hope you said it was a predicate adjective, because it is. It's a predicate adjective to the word skies. Okay, so then in the evenings describes our predicate adjective. Early in the morning, my song shall rise to thee. Prepositional phrase. There were 2. Hopefully you found both of them. In the morning and to thee. Let's look at in the morning. In the morning describes what? It describes how early. And if it's describing by telling me how, that prepositional phrase is acting as an adverb phrase. So when I say which adverb phrase, I'm really saying which prepositional phrase is acting like an adverb. Okay, look at the second one. To thee. Early in the morning, my song shall rise to thee. To thee describes what? Where shall it rise? It will rise to thee. Okay, to thee there is referring to God. Now, so you circle to thee and draw an arrow to shall rise, because that's the verb that it modifies. Number 4. Christ came from the splendor of heaven to a sinful earth. Circle your prepositional phrases. You should have found 2. The first one was from the splendor. The second, to a sinful earth. Now, from the splendor tells me what? Tells me where he came. He came from where? He came from the splendor. So from the splendor is an adverb phrase describing came. Look at your second prepositional phrase or adverb phrase we're going to see. To a sinful earth. To a sinful earth also tells me where he came. Christ came from splendor and to a sinful earth. Both of those adverb phrases are telling me where. So they both should be circled and both have an arrow drawn from the phrase to the word came. Okay, let's look at number 5. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. 2 prepositional phrases. With fear tells me how he served, and with trembling is how he rejoiced. Here's what I want you to do today. I want you to finish. I want you to do number 6 through 10. Then, for the rest of your class assignment, I want you to do exercise B on page 169, exercise B on 170. So finish our sentences, do exercise B on 169, and exercise B on 170. I also gave you a worksheet that said adverbs across the top. It's the notes. Using the blue boxes in your adverb chapter, I want you to fill out that worksheet. You'd only have to do the front. I don't think yours has sentences on the back. Only do the front. If it does have sentences, don't do them. Just do the front, just the notes. And that will be for tonight's homework.